Tseuquest, 10 years late. This unassuming cardboard box that I have on my desk shouldn't even be here. We are talking about one of the most controversial board games ever made. And when it comes to dungeon crawlers, this is the most controversial of them all. And on this video, we are going to explore if this story of unfulfilled promises and lies is actually a redemption arc. I'm not affiliated, compensated, or bribed in any shape or form from GameZone or anybody that is related to this game. That needs to be very clear because I don't want any haters, but I'm gonna have them nonetheless in the comment section below telling me that I'm doing this for whatever reason. I bought it secondhand, paid real money, and spoiler alert, nobody at GameZone is sending me a jack for this review. No sponsorship, no affiliation, no mercy. When I opened the box, I was greeted by what it looked to be the instructions booklet and the quest book. Well, let me rephrase that because what I thought was a booklet was actually a pamphlet. This is not a book, it's a pamphlet. Bruh. This is Cost Cutting 101. Right off the bat, I was not very sure about this format. I don't think it is very easy to use. And the font is so tiny, so small that you're gonna need a +1 reading glasses safe. I'm getting old, man, and I need bigger fonts than this. But it makes sense if you want to cut costs in printing something like this. The quest book says is the first one in a series and it's ring bound. Ring binding? More like ring bending. It said that it contained a lot of adventures with different progression trees, so off the bat it seemed to be good value for the price. I took a peek at what the adventures look like without reading any of the instructions and well, it seemed to be quite complete. The flavor text on the quests tries to be meme lord and it ends up being that joke at 3 AM. There were 2 string wrap packets of cards inside the box. The organization of these is very similar to what we have in Hero Quest. You will find the usual suspects, including cards for spells with the 4 elements at hand, and spells for the evil player as well, cards with the monster stats and their special rules, more on that later, equipment cards with different weapons and items that the adventurers can use in the game, treasure cards for randomizing loot and things that the adventurers can find during the game, and the rules for the cards hidden in a book. Not in the cards, not in the rule book, in the quest book. So bring your magnifying glasses because, oh my god, you're gonna need them. And artifacts, more specialized items that there is only 1 copy of them and they have to be given depending on quests. The smaller card packet contains small cards with reminders for rules like critical hits and fumbles. With the exception of the latter, nothing seems to be very different from Hero Quest. The cards? Weirdest size ever. I had to order the sleeves from the weirdest German website. I think the store's name was something like I then proceeded to open the cardboard inserts and remove this box that contains the miniatures, but we're gonna see those later. Underneath we find the screen that the evil wizard, or malvado brujo as it's called in Spanish, will have in front of him to hide the quests and other items that he doesn't want the adventurers to see. And let's not forget about the quality of cardboard. The cardboard thickness is meager to say the least and it doesn't feel very sturdy. Actually, it feels quite flimsy. If I were a smoker, I could roll a cigarette with this. I want to say something about the art. The artwork so far has been magnificent. I really like the style, the vibrancy of the colors, everything looks fantastic. Artwork, gorgeous. The cover looks like a heavy metal album that devoured a John Blanche painting. Visual design consistent, moody, lots of feel good highlights. In other words, chef's kiss. On the other hand, we see in this envelope over here, those are some sheets that belong to the Chaos Wizard and the Gargoyle. It seems that the printing from the backside was flipped in the original ones and they had to make these fixed ones in order to address that. The character sheets are made of the same type of flimsy cardboard that we have seen before. And it includes obviously the 4 main characters that we will have seen on Hero Quest. But also we have another 4. Here we see the barbarian, the dwarf, the elf, and the wizard. But then we also have the huntress, the female elf, the female dwarf, and the female wizard or warlock, I think is the best translation for that. We also have 3 evil character sheets, which are the Alpha Orc, the Gargoyle, and the Chaos Wizard, and they are all made with dials in mind, meaning that you have these small wheels that you will put in the back with some plastic things that we will see later, and this is how you can track the body points and the mind points from all the characters and these 3 types of enemies. Last but not least, quite important by the way, is the board. Tseuquest's board is double-sided. It includes one side that looks very similar to the one from HeroQuest, but also a different side that has a complete different layout altogether. This means that different quests will have different layouts, and if you want to make your own quest, you will have different options as well, making it more interesting. However, notice that the side that looks like the HeroQuest one has a central area with a different corner over there. Miniatures. Sweet baby Sigmar. These sculpts slap harder than squigs on caffeine. It was time to open this box with all the miniatures inside of it. The first thing that greeted me was a lot of Ziploc bags with numbers and the names of the miniatures inside of each one of them. GameZone, being the miniature making company that it is, decided that instead of using cardboard tokens, will make every single scenery piece in plastic. Those clear plastic circles are the bases that don't come attached to the miniatures, and the small black ones are the ones for the dials in the character sheets. The dice are one of the most interesting features in the game, and because of their shape and characteristics, they have some of the most interesting mechanics that we find in the game. Could they be bigger? 100%. Could the icons be less 3D printed squiggle? Absolutely. Everything looks good, and we're going to start opening the bags to see what we actually have here. The color coding of the miniatures is very similar, if not exactly the same as the one that we have in HeroQuest. Characters in red, green skins in green, undead in white, and chaos warriors and the chaos wizard and the gargoyle in grey. However, the drags, which will be the equivalent of a female, are not green, and then we also have some extra features that we do not find on HeroQuest, and they are in grey. The material with which the miniatures are made is usually some kind of soft resin plastic. It is quite bendable and it seems sturdy enough to be playing with it, but it also needs some dedication on cleaning the miniatures because they have a few mold lines and some small tags that need to be removed before you even start playing with them. This is not for the faint of heart because these miniatures are not meant to be just plug and play. You need to get them out of the boxes, clean them up, glue them together, and then you can start playing. They are definitely not snap off the sprue and start playing. You're gonna need files, green stuff, and the patience of a Saint Celestine's devotee. Dozens of multi-part minis, cool resin, 0 instructions. Good luck. Rules time. Grab popcorn. Imagine HeroQuest getting drunk with Warhammer Quest and hiring Kafka as the rules editor. It is time to talk about the elephant in the room. Yes, there is a but, and the but are the rules. The rules and the quests, basically, they seem to be unfinished, not polished, not the way that it should be for just getting the game out of the box and start playing. That's the general vibe of Tseuquest. It feels unfinished and it feels rushed. And obviously, if you think about the background and the legal issues that the game has, it feels like it was made just to meet the bare minimum required in order to avoid some more legal dire consequences and maybe keep some customers happy. I'm not sure about this last point because it feels like it actually wouldn't really do that, considering all the things that were promised in the campaigns for Kickstarter and whatnot. I want to start, however, on a positive note, because there are things that I really like in the rules. I'm not gonna lie, they have lots of great ideas, but the execution, convoluted is not even a good word for it. A simple way of making the game a little bit more interesting is actions. Every single character has 2 actions. They can move maximum once per turn, they can do a search twice per turn, they can do an attack twice per turn, they can attack with missiles twice per turn, or they can cast spells twice per turn. There are also some other things called special actions that they can do twice of those but not repeat them in the same turn. In other words, what you have here is a little bit more flexibility, showcasing that the heroes have more options, like choosing to attack twice or casting a spell twice or searching twice in a turn. Something that you don't see in HeroQuest because you have movement and action, that's it. Before I forget, I have to mention that the rulebook or the rules pamphlet, or whatever you want to call this thing, has two sides. One is the basic rules and the other one is the heroic rules that include extra stuff that you should definitely play with if you get your hands on this game. And this is important because in the movement actions you have two options here. You have the natural move or the tense move. When you're doing your natural move, you are basically rolling your dice to the maximum roll that you can get with that character. Whereas when you do tense move, you are rolling the dice and just using what you get on those. And by rolling the dice, you also get the chances of getting criticals and fumbles, which is something that adds an extra layer of depth to the game. If you like tables or not, that's a different debate, but in this case, if you get a critical or a fumble, you get to roll on a different table where you might get some extra benefits or maluses for your character, and that obviously will change how you strategize your turn in consequence. Character design has amazing asymmetry, which means that your characters are gonna feel very different from each other. I love that. It's something that you don't find in HeroQuest, even though they have different things. This is the real deal. For instance, the Dwarf starts every single adventure Hangover. Relatable. The Wizard is addicted to Quicksilver, which is basically the Warhammer World version of Red Bull. And the elves, they could not care less if the dwarf dies. Big talking energy here. These synergy rules bring a lot of depth. Unfortunately, they are hidden within a wall of text. It's a pity because if they were polished and properly indexed, this would roughly stomp HeroQuest for depth. But I have to be impartial here and I have to tell you the ugly of the game as well. The rules are all over the place, and we also have FAQs already that might clarify some things, but we also are missing some stuff here and there. For instance, I was checking the zombie bite rule and 2 minutes later I was googling, do zombies even have dental insurance? And the FAQ on the website is mandatory. Without it, you are gonna argue with the players more than Warhammer Facebook on Sunday. The last thing that I want to talk about are the quests. The quest book. You know, the quests, the things that actually make part of the name in here, they feel like a PowerPoint tutorial. Like literally, one of the adventures basically says walk to the other side of the board. There is nothing exciting about them. Why would you bother to make a game about quests that are not fun to play? And talking about quests, the ring-bound quest book is one of the most annoying things in the game. The size of the booklet and the writing are not easy to see. There are a lot of details that shouldn't be there, and honestly, most of the adventures feel quite bland, as if they were filler in between things. To begin with, you need the FAQs to see what the symbols mean, because they are not easy to understand, and there is no legend for those in the questbook. Secondly, the lore of the universe, it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek and it doesn't really add anything to the epicness that the other things in the game, the miniatures and the artwork, do have. Seriously, I don't see the point of a lot of things. Maybe you like it, but for me, this is a big no-no. Thirdly, many of the maps of the quests are quite empty. I don't see enough enemies, I don't see enough scenery, I don't see enough things to do. It's just a walking simulator. It feels empty, and it is a pity because you have gorgeous miniatures, gorgeous stuff to put on the table, and why is this so empty? The adventures tie with a progression mode that is in the rulebook, and I will say that playing the whole line of quests requires a lot of patience and dedication that I don't have. And this is also without mentioning that there are hints of a second volume with more rules, more cards, more stuff that I'm not sure that will ever see the light. I hope it does. That will mean that everybody somehow will be vindicated. If every single backer gets the game and they also get all the extra features that were promised at the beginning, then somehow we will get what everybody wanted from the very beginning. Very late, but better late than never. Final verdict. Should you be hunting this down on the second-hand market? Yes, if you are a miniature nut, love boutique sculpts, and enjoy house ruling like a mad scientist. Nope, if you're looking for a dungeon crawl that is a plug-and-play experience and you have your walls full of unpainted shame. Overall, I'm sorry, I'm laughing. It feels like this is the early access-based experience on video games, where you get, you know, all the bugs and the patches need to come in order to fix the crap that you have paid for. But more than 10 years is not an early access experience, is it? I love it, but I hate it equally. I love the miniatures, I hate the rules, I love the artwork, I hate the flavor text. It's a mixed bag of experiences right here. And do I recommend buying this? As I said, yes and no. I'm very happy of owning it, but will I ever buy another one? I don't think so. With better rules and better quests, this would have been a very nice game. But the most important part here is the mismanagement on the launch. And the fact that people haven't received it yet begs the question if it's ethical for you or myself to buy it from any store. Like and subscribe, thank you for watching the video so far, and remember guys, my name is Miguel, this has been Rocks the Watch, and I'll catch you in the next one. Un beso y adios.